In the beginning there was no word, only the cry, a howl older than breath, echoing through a void without time. From that cry rose the first ones, monstrum, raw and unshaped.
These were not gods of miracles or mercies. They were the teeth behind the scripture. They were not love nor wrath. They were instinct made divine.
So, what was that all about? What you just heard, well, that's from a forbidden text. A kind of dark gospel, really. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and dive right into its deepest, darkest secrets.
Get ready, because we're about to decode a history that someone, or something, tried very hard to hide. And let me tell you, this isn't just a story about some old gods and monsters. No, this is about a war for the soul of reality itself.
Okay, so this right here, this is our map for this whole journey. It's called the Codex of the Five Worlds. Think of it like an evolutionary letter for gods, but with a twist. See, it doesn't just go up. It shows how divinity can literally decay, break down, and then get violently re-engineered into something new, something terrifying. This codex, you guys, is the key. It's the key to understanding this cosmic war that's been raging for eons. And trust me, its outcome decides the fate of everything.
All right, so where do we even begin? Let's go right back to the start, the absolute beginning, the first world.
You see, before there were gods that people prayed to, there were monsters. The first world wasn't some place with temples and worshippers. No, it was a realm of what are called universal archetypes. These were raw, chaotic ideas that our most ancient ancestors would, eventually remember and fear as the great monsters of our legends.
So, take a look at this. First up, we have the Dracula Prime. And no, this isn't some guy in a cape. Think bigger. This was the original cosmic law of consumption. It's the fundamental, brutal truth that for life to go on, other life has to be devoured. This is the blueprint for every single vampire myth that came after. It's the thing whose thirst, as the text says, taught death itself how to be hungry.
And then you've got the wolf god. Again, we're not talking about a man who turns into a wolf. This is the idea of the wolf. It's the raw essence of nature's untamed fury, that primal rage. It was pure biological anarchy made into a god, the kind of impulse that existed way before thought or reason ever came into the picture. And rounding out this terrifying trio, we have the Promethean. This is basically the universe's first shot at creating life from non-living stuff. Yeah. The original Frankenstein's monster on a cosmic scale. It's the ultimate symbol of hubris, right? The incredible arrogance of trying to play God and the monstrous consequences that always seem to follow.
But here's the thing about these raw, primal forces. They couldn't last forever. It's just not in their nature. Like any pure energy, they started to break down, to decay. And out of that rot, something new was born. The second world.
So, imagine this. The first world shatters into a million pieces, but its raw power, it doesn't just disappear. It gets diluted. It seeps down into the collective consciousness of humanity. And that's what creates the second world, an era the Codex calls decayed divinity. So that pure cosmic idea of the Dracula Prime, it devolves into the vampires you read about in folklore. And in the foggy streets of Victorian London, that energy just festers, creating these urban horrors, giving birth to things like Jack the Ripper, who's reimagined here as a kind of minor ghoul king who literally feeds on fear.
But this whole era of ghosts and ghouls, it was really just a chaotic pit stop. It was paving the way for something much more calculated. And honestly, way more terrifying. A world where perfect magic and perfect science would collide.
And the catalyst, the thing that kicked off this new age, was a clock. I'm not kidding. Specifically, Big Ben. According to the Codex, it was originally built as a mechanism to track something called God time. But then, it absorbed a piece of discarded new god tech. We're talking super advanced alien stuff from cosmic beings. And it woke up. It became this sentient, steampunk cyborg called the Chrono Reaper. And it wasn't content to just track time anymore. Oh no. It wanted to control it, and it started stealing more cosmic tech to make itself a god.
So how do you even build a new god from scratch? Well, the Chrono Reaper realized it was still incomplete. To get to true divinity, it had to create a trinity of existence. So it took its perfect machine body,
fused it with the soul of some ascended being named Faustus, and then powered the whole thing up with the raw chaos of a force called the Omega imprint. And that insane combination, that's what created the completed old gods.
Now, these new machine gods, they weren't interested in just joining the cosmic club. Their very existence was an act of war.
So the Codex tells us that Jack Kirby's new gods, the whole pantheon with Darkseid and Highfather, these huge forces of good and evil, they exist in a hidden layer of reality called the Fourth World. But here's the crazy part. The new machine gods from the Third World, they aren't trying to ascend and join them. As you can see right here, they're laying siege to the Fourth World. They are actively trying to wipe it and the new gods completely out of existence.
So you gotta ask, why? Why erase the gods that already exist? What's the end game here? The answer is chilling. It's replacement. Total, absolute replacement.
Their ultimate goal is to force a fifth world into being. And they're going to do it by taking their mechanical perfection from the third world and smashing it together with the raw, monstrous power of the first. Their ambition is to create a new Ubermensch reality, a reality of the Overman.
But you have to understand, the fifth world isn't a place you can visit. It's a state of being, a totalitarian singularity. Imagine a reality where individual thought, your own free will, it's just gone. Every single living thing becomes nothing more than a little puppet, a conscious extension of the progenitor's mind. For us, for humanity, this isn't just being conquered. It's the complete and total erasure of the self. Existence itself becomes one single, all-consuming identity.
Okay, so how is any of this even possible? I mean, how could anyone wield enough power to literally rewrite reality on this kind of scale? Well, it all comes down to the fuel source, the engine driving this entire war.
This is the Omega imprint. And it's not magic, it's not science. The Codex describes it as a raw, reality-warping energy left over from a universe that existed before ours. Think of it like the chaotic grammar of creation and destruction. It's the literal source code that everything in reality is built on.
And if you can wield the imprint, your will is reality, period. It grants you some absolutely terrifying powers. Things like existential erasure. That's wiping something from existence so completely it's like it was never there. Reality transmutation, so you can just create life out of thin air. And get this, self-resurrection, which basically makes you immortal. You get killed, you just come back, and you're even stronger than before.
But its most horrific power, the one that's truly deeply chilling, is called the Omega Sanction. And it doesn't kill you. It does something so much worse. It traps your consciousness in an infinite, repeating loop of fake lives. And each new life is worse than the last, bleaker, more hopeless. It's the ultimate psychological prison, a spiritual damnation that you can never, ever escape.
And all of this brings us right back to those words from the beginning, the herald's words. We ascend by being broken. We are made divine through dissolution. After everything we've uncovered in this codex, you really have to wonder, in a universe like this one, is becoming a monster the only real path to becoming a god? And even if it is that a price anyone should be willing to pay?